Welcome back, fellow seekers of the shadows. You've tuned into Stories of Crime, the place where the veil between the mundane and the monstrous is brutally ripped away. Tonight, we aren't just reading a report. We are opening a file, marked top priority, tucked away in the darkest corner of the archives. We're going to step across that chalk line and peer into the void, where human nature meets its most terrifying extremes. In this hour, the street lights flicker, the shadows deepen, and the truth is often far more chilling than any fiction you could invent. Forget the heroes. Tonight, we focus on the villains. On the motives that curdle the blood, and the consequences that echo forever. So, dim the lights. Lock your doors. Take a deep, steadying breath, because once the story begins, there's no turning back. This is Stories of Crime. And the case we're unfolding tonight is Red Harvest. Look, the blood of Poisonville. All right, settle in. Take a deep breath. Or maybe don't. Because the air where we're going is thick. Thick with coal dust, sure, but also with something far more insidious. Something that clings to your lungs, seeps into your skin, and slowly, irrevocably, poisons your very soul. We're about to step into a place that doesn't just exist on a map. It exists as a festering wound on the American landscape, a testament to greed, corruption, and the sheer, brutal resilience of the human spirit, or its utter degradation. They called it Personville. But that's just a name, isn't it? A polite, respectable label for something that was anything but? No, the real name, the name whispered in the shadows, etched into the grime, felt in the very marrow of your bones, was something else entirely. Something far more honest, far more chilling. They called it Poisonville. And honestly, when you hear it, when you really let that word sink in, you can practically taste the truth of it. Poisonville. It's not just a nickname, it's a diagnosis. It's a prophecy. It's an inescapable reality. This isn't some quaint little town with a dark secret. Oh no. This is a town whose very foundations are built on secrets, whose every brick and beam groans under the weight of lies, whose streets run not just with rainwater, but with something far more ominous. Something that stains everything it touches. Imagine, if you will, a canvas painted entirely in shades of gray, black, and a sickly, yellowish brown. That's Poisonville. The sky, perpetually shrouded in a heavy blanket of industrial smoke and coal dust, rarely offers the clean, bright light of day. Instead, it casts a perpetual twilight over everything, a dim, oppressive gloom that makes even the brightest midday feel like the cusp of an eternal night. The sun, when it bothers to break through, is a jaundiced eye peering down at a world it seems to have long abandoned. Its rays, if they can even be called that, struggle to penetrate the layers of airborne filth, filtering down as weak, diffused shafts that merely illuminate the dust motes dancing in the stagnant air, highlighting the pervasive griminess rather than dispelling it. The buildings themselves are monoliths of despair. Not majestic cathedrals or soaring skyscrapers, but squat, soot-stained structures of brick and wood, hunched together as if seeking shelter from an unseen tormentor. Every surface is coated in a fine, gritty film of coal dust, giving the entire town a uniformly dull, muted appearance. The reds of brick are subdued to a rusty brown, the whites of window frames long since surrendered to a permanent dirty gray. Even the vibrant advertisements of yesteryear, if any ever dared to grace these walls, have been rendered illegible, their colors faded, their messages lost beneath layers of industrial grime, like forgotten dreams in a nightmare. Walk down the main street, if you can call it that. It's less a street and more a canyon carved through the industrial wasteland, its pavement cracked and uneven, littered with refuse, discarded ambitions, and the occasional shard of broken glass glinting malevolently in the meager light. The air vibrates not with the cheerful hum of commerce, but with the incessant, grinding roar of machinery from the nearby mines and smelters. A deep, resonant thrum that penetrates your bones, a constant reminder of the unseen forces that power this town, forces that chew up the earth and spit out its wealth, leaving behind only the residue of human toil and environmental destruction. You hear the metallic clang of steel on steel, the hiss of steam escaping from unseen pipes, the distant rumble of ore cars trundling along their tracks, carrying their heavy, dark cargo. And beneath it all, barely audible but always present, is the low, guttural murmur of human voices, voices dulled by exhaustion, by resignation, by the weight of a life lived in shadows. Sometimes, a louder, sharper sound cuts through the din, a shout, a curse, the sharp crack of something breaking, or even the unmistakable report of a dista. Intro plus narrator's POV, the man with no name. Welcome, my friends, to a new journey, a deep dive into the kind of stories that don't just entertain, but resonate, that echo in the quiet corners of your mind long after the final page is turned. Today, we're not just reading a book, we're experiencing it. We're embarking on something I call the humanized audiobook experience, and believe me, it's unlike anything you've heard before. Our inaugural voyage takes us into the gritty, unforgiving heart of Red Harvest by Dashiell Hammett. Now, if you're a fan of hard-boiled detective fiction, a connoisseur of the noir aesthetic, or simply someone who appreciates a masterfully crafted story that strips away the glamour to reveal the brutal truths beneath, then you already know the name Dashiell Hammett. He wasn't just a writer, he was an architect, building the very foundations of a genre that would define an era, influencing everything from literature to film, leaving an indelible mark on the landscape of storytelling. And Red Harvest, his very first novel, is where it all began in such a raw, powerful, and utterly unforgettable way. But this isn't just about the plot, the twists, the turns, or the satisfying resolution. No, with our humanized approach, we're going deeper. We're pulling back the curtain, not just on the story itself, but on the human cost of it all. What does it truly feel like to wade through a cesspool of violence, corruption, and moral decay? What happens to the soul when you decide that the only way to clean a rotten town is to set it ablaze? That, my friends, is the heart of what we're here to explore together. It's about empathy, about understanding the psychological reverberations that linger long after the smoke clears and the bodies are counted. We're not just following a detective, we're trying to understand the man, the very human being, forced to make impossible choices in an inhuman world. At the center of Red Harvest stands a figure who is, in many ways, the embodiment of the hard-boiled archetype, the Continental Op. He's a man of no name, a faceless agent of the Continental Detective Agency. He's not a hero in shining armor, not a romantic lead, and certainly not someone you'd invite to a dinner party for light conversation. He is, to put it simply, the ultimate pragmatic professional. Imagine a surgeon, not of the body, but of society's festering wounds. He approaches chaos with a cold, almost clinical detachment, his only mission to achieve his objective, no matter the personal cost, no matter the moral compromises he might have to make along the way. He operates on pure logic, pure efficiency, in a world utterly devoid of either. This isn't about right or wrong in the traditional sense, it's about what works. It's about navigating a world where the lines between good and evil are not just blurred, but entirely erased by the relentless tide of greed, power, and desperation. He arrives in the desolate, despair-ridden mining town of Personville, a place so steeped in corruption that its inhabitants have affectionately, or perhaps ironically, nicknamed it Poisonville. Just let that sink in for a moment. Poisonville. It's a town that's literally a metaphor for its own toxicity, a place where the air itself feels heavy with unspoken crimes and festering secrets. Our op is summoned there by Donald Wilson, the idealistic newspaper owner whose father, Elihu Wilson, is the tyrannical industrialist who essentially owns the town, body, and soul. Donald believes the op can clean up Personville, restore some semblance of order and decency. But before the op can even begin his investigation, Donald is murdered, an act that plunges our nameless detective into a labyrinthine world of double crosses, shifting loyalties, and casual, horrifying violence. And this is where the premise of Red Harvest truly takes root, blossoming into a dark, thorny masterpiece. Faced with a town so thoroughly corrupted, so entangled in its own web of deceit and criminality, the Continental Op realizes something profound, something chilling. He sees that the tragedy. Chapter 1: The Tycoon's Mistake. All right everyone, settle in. Grab your favorite beverage, maybe dim the lights a little, because today we are diving headfirst into the murky, dangerous, and utterly captivating world of Dashiell Hammett's Red Harvest. This isn't just a story, it's a brutal, unflinching mirror held up to the darkest corners of human nature, power, and corruption. And we're starting right at the beginning, at the very precipice of chaos, in a town so poisoned it earned itself a chilling nickname, Poisonville. Chapter 1: The Tycoon's Mistake. What a title, right? It immediately sets a tone, a promise of a monumental error, a colossal misjudgment that will unravel an entire empire. And that empire, my friends, belonged to a man named Elihu Wilson. Now, imagine this with me for a moment. Picture a vast, sprawling industrial town. Not a pretty town, not one with quaint cobblestone streets and charming little cafes. No, this is a town built for industry, for profit, for the relentless grind of labor. Every brick, every plank of wood, every puff of smoke rising from those towering chimneys, it all whispered one name: Wilson. Elihu Wilson wasn't just a powerful man in Personville, that was its official name, but we'll get to why it earned its darker moniker soon enough. He wasn't just a prominent figure, he was the town. He was its architect, its financier, its undisputed sovereign. Think about that level of control. It's almost unimaginable in our modern world, isn't it? But in Personville, Elihu Wilson owned the mines, the lifeblood of the town. He owned the banks that held everyone's savings and loans. He owned the stores where people bought their groceries, their clothes, their very necessities. He owned the newspapers, controlling what information flowed into and out of the public consciousness. He even, effectively, owned the local government, the police, the judiciary. Every single person who lived in Personville, from the lowliest miner to the highest-ranking official, owed their livelihood, their very existence in that town, to Elihu Wilson. He was the sun around which their entire world revolved. This wasn't just a wealthy man, this was a patriarch, a dictator, a king in all but name. He had forged this town, sculpted it from the raw earth with his ambition, his vision, and, crucially, his iron will. For decades, he had ruled with an almost godlike authority. His word was law, his decisions were fate. And for a long, long time, it worked. The mines produced, the money flowed, and Elihu Wilson reigned supreme, seemingly invincible, unchallengeable. But here's the thing about absolute power, isn't it? It can be a very lonely throne. And it can blind you to the cracks forming beneath your feet, the rot setting in from within. Because despite this colossal, unshakable stranglehold he had on Personville, Elihu Wilson, when we first meet him, is a broken man. He is vulnerable. Terribly, terrifyingly vulnerable. His vulnerability stems from the most devastating personal tragedy a parent can endure, the murder of his son, Donald Wilson. Donald was everything to Elihu. He was the heir, the successor, the future of the Wilson dynasty. And now he's gone, brutally murdered, leaving Elihu not just with profound grief, but with something far more insidious in the context of Personville, a gaping wound in his armor. This murder didn't just take his son, it shattered his carefully constructed facade of invincibility. It exposed him, raw and bleeding, to a town that he thought he owned, but which was, in fact, slipping rapidly out of his grasp. This brings us to the very heart of the tycoon's mistake, the catastrophic miscalculation that transformed Personville into Poisonville. You see, Elihu Wilson was a man of his time, and his time was often brutal. When he built his empire, when he faced resistance, particularly from striking workers, he didn't mince words or actions. He employed a simple, effective, and ultimately disastrous strategy. He hired thugs. He brought in hardened criminals, professional muscle, men who knew how. Chapter 2: The Femme Fatale. Alright, settle in, folks, because if Chapter 1 plunged us headfirst into the murky, blood-soaked streets of Personville, our next stop is an even more treacherous landscape, the intricate, dangerous mind of a woman who embodies everything unsettling and alluring about this cursed town. We're talking, of course, about Dinah Brand, the quintessential femme fatale, a character so complex, so utterly captivating, that she practically leaps off the page and demands your full, undivided attention. Think about the most dangerous person you can imagine. Is it a hulking brute with a gun? A shadowy figure pulling strings from afar? In Personville, the true danger often wore a far more enticing guise, wrapped in silk and steeped in deceit. Dinah Brand wasn't just beautiful, she was a force of nature, a hurricane in human form, leaving a trail of broken men and shattered lives in her wake. She was, to put it bluntly, a mercenary, but not in the conventional sense of someone who simply sells their services for coin. Dinah's mercenary spirit ran deeper, touching every facet of her existence. Her loyalty, if you could even call it that, was entirely to herself, to her own advancement, her own survival, her own insatiable desires. She navigated the treacherous currents of Personville with an uncanny instinct, always finding the best angle, the most lucrative opportunity, the most vulnerable neck to step on. Her moral compass was shattered, if it ever existed at all, replaced by a laser-like focus on profit and power. This woman could look you dead in the eye, smile, and tell you a lie so convincingly that you'd question your own memory, your own sanity. She was a survivor, yes, but a predator first and foremost, thriving on the chaos and corruption that choked the very air of Poisonville. And sharp? Oh, she was razor sharp, folks. Her mind was a steel trap, capable of processing information, spotting a weakness, and formulating a counter-move in the blink of an eye. She wasn't just intelligent, she was cunning, street smart in a way that formal education could never teach. Her wit was as quick as her temper was subtle, a dangerous combination that kept everyone around her perpetually off balance. She could read people like open books, dissecting their motivations, their fears, their secret desires, and then use that knowledge to twist them around her little finger. Every word she uttered, every glance she gave, every carefully orchestrated gesture was part of a larger, unseen strategy. She played the game of life and death with an expert's touch, always several steps ahead, always anticipating the next move. She was the spider at the center of a very sticky, very deadly web, and woe betide anyone who stumbled into her carefully constructed snare. Now, her danger wasn't the kind you could dodge with a quick duck or a well-placed punch. No, Dinah's danger was far more insidious, far more pervasive. She was dangerous because she could destroy reputations, shatter alliances, and incite violence with a whispered word, a knowing look, a perfectly timed piece of misinformation. She was a master of psychological warfare, turning men against each other, exploiting their jealousies, their rivalries, their desperate yearning for her affection or approval. She was the catalyst, the spark that ignited the already volatile powder keg that was Personville. You felt her danger in the escalating tension of a room, in the sudden shift in someone's loyalty, in the unexplained disappearance of a troublesome individual. She was the queen of the underworld, not by force, but by sheer, unadulterated influence, a silent assassin whose weapons were charm, intellect, and an absolute lack of scruple. So, when our nameless op, our weary, cynical detective, finally makes his first visit to Dinah Brand's house, you can feel the air crackle with unspoken tension, with the weight of expectations and the promise of impending confrontation. It wasn't a social call, not by a long shot. The op, ever the pragmatist, knew that if he wanted to untangle the knotted mess. Chapter 3, The Four Factions. Alright, welcome back to the channel, folks. If you've been following along, you know we're diving deep into the grim, gritty heart of Personville, a place where the shadows are long and the promises are short. Last time, we introduced our nameless protagonist, the op, a man with a quiet demeanor but a deadly purpose, a figure of calculated vengeance who has just set foot in this poisoned land. He's observed, he's listened, he's absorbed the stench of corruption that hangs in the air like a perpetual fog. But now, it's time to pull back the curtain even further. It's time to truly establish the playing field, to name the players, especially the ones who call the shots in this desolate town. We need to understand the antagonists, the pillars of this rotten society, the architects of Personville's despair. Because without knowing them, without truly grasping their power and their vices, we can't possibly comprehend the sheer audacity of the Op's plan. Think of Personville not as a single organism, but as a beast with 4 distinct, venomous heads, each vying for dominance, each keeping the others in a tense, often bloody, stalemate. These are the 4 factions, the 4 power brokers who have carved up the town into their personal fiefdoms, and whose uneasy truce is the very thing the Op intends to shatter. He's not here to take sides, he's here to watch them tear each other apart. And believe me, when you meet these gentlemen, you'll understand why that's a terrifying, yet almost inevitable, prospect. Let's start with a character who embodies the seedy underbelly of any town, the man who pulls strings from the shadows, the one who knows everyone's secrets because he owns their debts. We're talking about Leone. Leone. The name itself just sounds hard, doesn't it? Like a place where no good deed goes unpunished. Leone is the loan shark, the backroom dealer, the silent partner in 1,000 illicit ventures. He's not a man of grand speeches or public appearances. You won't find him glad-handing at town council meetings. No, Leone operates in the dim glow of back alleys, in the hushed tones of smoke-filled rooms where fortunes are lost and lives are ruined with the stroke of a pen. Physically, he's often described as a man who seems to blend into the furniture, unremarkable in a crowd until his eyes meet yours. And then, you see it? A cold, calculating intelligence, a gaze that strips away pretense and sees only your desperation, your vulnerability. His suits are always immaculate, his movements economical, never wasted. He carries an aura of quiet menace, not because he's loud, but because you know the quiet is just a prelude to something truly terrible if you cross him. What makes Leone so dangerous? It's not just the money he lends, though that's a huge part of it. It's the terms. He doesn't deal in conventional interest rates. His currency is leverage. He gets people in debt, deep debt, and then he owns them. He owns their businesses, he owns their secrets, he owns their very souls. Imagine a struggling shop owner, facing ruin. Leone offers a lifeline, a seemingly generous sum. But that lifeline comes with strings attached, strings that quickly become chains. Soon, that shop owner is laundering money, providing cover for other operations, or feeding Leone information about their neighbors. He is the spider in the center of a vast, intricate web of favors, obligations, and crushing debts. He's the reason why so many people in Personville walk around with a haunted look in their eyes, knowing that at any moment, a quiet knock on the door could signal the end of their comfortable lives. He manipulates, he exploits, and he profits from every whisper of misfortune in Personville. His power is subtle, but it's pervasive, like a slow-acting poison. He knows where the bodies are buried, both literally and figuratively, and he isn't afraid to dig them up. Next up, we have a man who represents the era perfectly, the era of prohibition, of illicit fortunes built on the thirst of a nation. This is Pete the Finn. Chapter 4, Unfixing the Fight. Alright, welcome back, Red Harvest faithful, to another deep dive into the shadowy, blood-soaked streets of Personville. If you've been with us since the beginning, you know we're peeling back the grim layers of Dashiell Hammett's hard-boiled masterpiece, Red Harvest, meticulously exploring the intricate, deadly dance of chaos orchestrated by our nameless operative, the Op. We've seen him arrive, a quiet force of nature, in a town steeped in corruption, a town that practically breathes violence, where justice is a forgotten word and every shadow holds a threat. But so far, his presence has been more of an observation, a subtle probing, a careful assessment of the diseased ecosystem around him. Today, my friends, that changes. Today, we step firmly into Chapter 4, a chapter aptly titled Unfixing the Fight, and let me tell you, this is where the Op truly flexes his strategic muscles, where his intellect becomes a weapon more potent than any gun. This is where he makes his first major, undeniably deliberate move to not just observe chaos, but to actively, meticulously, and devastatingly create it. He's no longer merely a detective trying to solve a crime, he's an arsonist of the soul, a master puppeteer pulling strings he himself has spun, and the entire town of Personville is his kindling, waiting for the spark. Our story, or rather, the Op's meticulously calculated plan, hinges on something as seemingly mundane, yet deeply significant in this underworld, as a boxing match. Not just any boxing match, mind you, but the boxing match. This isn't about sportsmanship, about athletic prowess or the glory of victory. Oh no, not in Personville. Here, everything is about money, power, control, and the unbelievably fragile alliances that tenuously hold Personville's cutthroat criminal factions together. Or, as the Op keenly observes, the fragile alliances that are about to shatter into a million bloody pieces. The central figure in this initial gambit, this carefully constructed trap, is a young boxer named Kid Cope. Try to picture him for a moment, a hopeful, perhaps a little naive, but certainly determined young man, muscles taut, spirit perhaps still intact, ready to step into the ring. For him, this fight represents everything: a chance at a better life, a moment of fleeting glory, a potential path out of the oppressive mire of Personville. He sees it as a fair contest, a test of his own strength and skill. He's utterly unaware that he's merely a pawn, a sacrificial lamb, on a very dirty chessboard controlled by ruthless men. For the various powers that be, the brutal bosses and their insidious syndicates in Personville, Kid Cope is nothing more than a commodity, a tool to be used and discarded. The fight, you see, is rigged. Of course it is. This is Personville. Expecting a fair fight here is like expecting a moral compass from a professional hitman, or honesty from a politician. It's a fool's errand, a laughable notion. The fix is undeniably in. Everyone who needs to know, knows. The bosses have reached their grubby agreement. Kid Cope is supposed to take a dive, to lose deliberately and dramatically in a specific round, ensuring the pre-arranged outcome. The various betting syndicates, controlled by the warring factions, the old guard, the new pretenders, the corrupt police, have already laid their bets accordingly, confident in their insider knowledge. The understanding is crystal clear: this fight will consolidate profits, maintain a delicate and easily disturbed balance of power, and ensure that certain individuals walk away significantly richer, while others simply walk away with a predetermined, albeit smaller, profit. It's a carefully choreographed dance of deceit, designed specifically to avoid any open conflict between the factions. They can all agree on one thing, and one thing only: making more money. Money is the only true god in Personville. The Op, however, with his piercing, analytical gaze, sees this fixed fight not as a conclusion, not as a resolution, but as an opening. A gaping, exploitable weakness. Chapter 5, Noonan's Betrayal. Welcome back, folks, to our deep dive into the shadowy depths of Dashiell Hammett's Red Harvest. If you've been with us since the beginning, you know Personville isn't exactly a vacation spot. It's a town simmering with corruption, a powder keg waiting for a spark. And our unnamed Continental Op, well, he's just stumbled into the very heart of the inferno. Today, we're not just turning a page, we're witnessing a complete seismic shift. We're stepping into Chapter 5, a moment so pivotal, so gut-wrenching, that it redefines everything. This is Noonan's Betrayal, and trust me, it's a game changer. Picture this: the op has arrived in Personville, trying to unravel the tangled knot of murder and conspiracy. He's been navigating the local underworld, dealing with powerful figures, and cautiously trying to piece together the truth. But one figure, in particular, should have been a beacon of law and order, a supposed ally against the encroaching darkness. That figure is Chief of Police Noonan. For a while, Noonan plays the part. He's the local authority, the man in charge, seemingly helpful, seemingly concerned about the town's plummeting morality and rising body count. He offers information, he makes suggestions, he tries to guide the op, always with that air of a public servant doing his duty. But beneath that veneer of officialdom, a viper was coiled, ready to strike. The op, being the seasoned professional he is, probably sensed a tremor of unease, a subtle discord in Noonan's carefully constructed performance. He's dealt with dirty cops before, but this was different. This was the chief, the man who should embody justice. Noonan's true colors, or rather his lack of any moral color at all, begin to bleed through the moment he decides the Continental Op is more of a liability than an asset. The op is asking too many questions, poking too many hornet nests, threatening to expose the intricate web of corruption that Noonan himself is deeply embedded in. So, the chief formulates a plan. Not a plan to help, not a plan to investigate, but a plan to eliminate the problem. His objective is clear: get rid of the op, one way or another. Either run him out of town with a stern warning and a show of force, or, failing that, silence him permanently. This isn't just about protecting his own skin, it's about maintaining the delicate, rotten balance of power in Personville, a balance built on graft, intimidation, and murder. Noonan sees the Op as an uncontrollable variable, a rogue element that could bring down his entire house of cards. His approach is cunning, manipulative. He might offer a drink, a late-night chat, an exclusive tip, luring the Op into a false sense of security, or perhaps into a secluded location where the warning can escalate. And escalate it does. The true attempt to kill the Op or run him out of town is a masterclass in calculated treachery. It wasn't some random street mugging, it was orchestrated, precise, and came from the very top of the local law enforcement. Noonan, leveraging his position, uses his own men, or men he controls, to set up the hit. Imagine the scene: the Op, perhaps late at night, following a lead given by Noonan, or simply walking back to his hotel through the dimly lit, labyrinthine streets of Personville. The air is thick with the grime and despair of the city. Suddenly, shadows detach themselves from the brick walls, figures emerge from alleyways, not with badges and warnings, but with fists, clubs, and perhaps even knives glinting under the sparse street lights. It's an ambush, a brutal, cowardly attack designed to overwhelm, to eliminate any chance of resistance. The sheer audacity of it, coming from the police chief, sends a chill down your spine. It underscores just how deeply rotten Personville is, right down to its supposed core. This wasn't a warning, it was an assassination attempt disguised as a roughing up, a message delivered with bone-breaking force. Noonan wanted the Op gone, period. But this isn't just any protagonist we're talking about. This is the Continental Op. And here, Chapter 6, The Peace Conference. Alright, my friends, welcome back to the gritty, unforgiving streets of Personville, or as our nameless Continental Op so aptly calls it, Poisonville. We've been immersed in a whirlwind of violence, betrayal, and relentless intrigue, watching our protagonists stir a bubbling cauldron of criminal elements, pitting them against each other in a deadly, desperate dance. If you're just joining us, buckle up, because the ride has been anything but smooth, filled with more twists and turns than a mountain road in a blizzard. Bodies have piled up, alliances have shifted with the wind, and the entire town is teetering on the brink, a hair's breadth away from all-out anarchy. But now, something truly unexpected has occurred. A moment of eerie calm, a surreal cessation of hostilities that feels less like a true peace and more like a collective holding of breath. Today, We're diving deep into Chapter 6 of Red Harvest, a pivotal segment aptly titled The Peace Conference. And trust me when I say, this isn't your typical diplomatic summit. This is a gathering that, on the surface, promises to quell the raging storm, to put an end to the brutal, senseless gang warfare that has swallowed Personville whole. Yet, beneath this thin veneer of civility, it's a masterclass in profound hypocrisy, a stark, almost theatrical illustration of how power, insatiable greed, and the relentless thirst for control can corrupt even the most desperate attempts at reconciliation, transforming them into a fragile, doomed charade. Our central mission today is to meticulously dissect this momentary lull, this incredibly brittle truce, and expose the sheer, unadulterated hypocrisy that serves as its very foundation. We're going to examine how this temporary cessation of hostilities is far from a sign of genuine change or a newfound enlightenment among Personville's criminal elite. Instead, it's a calculated, strategic retreat, a temporary regrouping, a desperate maneuver by certain players to either regain a semblance of control or, more likely, to secure a momentary tactical advantage. And through every strained smile, every empty promise, we'll be experiencing it all through the jaded, hyper-observant eyes of the Continental Op, whose unwavering cynicism, frankly, stands as the most authentic and unvarnished truth in this entire morally bankrupt town. So, let's paint a vivid picture, shall we? Imagine the most improbable, tension-laced dinner party you could ever conceive. It's not taking place in a shadowy back alley, nor in a clandestine, smoke-filled speakeasy reeking of stale liquor and desperation. No, this grand charade unfolds within the seemingly respectable, if somewhat faded, opulence of Elihu Wilson's private residence. Remember Elihu, the aging, once powerful mining magnate whose son, Donald, was brutally murdered, an event that plunged Personville into this very abyss of violence. Elihu, the man who initially contracted our op to clean up his town, is now attempting the almost unthinkable, to orchestrate a ceasefire. He's managed to gather all the major players, every single criminal kingpin, under his very own roof. It's a move that simultaneously radiates audacious bravery and, in its profound naivete, a tragic sort of hope. He genuinely believes, or perhaps more accurately, desperately wants to believe, that he can appeal to some vestige of their better natures, that he can somehow impose order through civil negotiation, through the sheer force of his will and his fading authority. Step into that room with me for a moment. Picture it, a spacious, perhaps slightly antiquated drawing room, dimly lit, the air thick not with cigar smoke, but with an almost palpable tension. Every chair, every sofa, holds a predator. Each man radiates a distinct aura of suppressed danger, a coiled, almost electric tension that vibrates just beneath the surface of their forced composure. There's Pete the Finn, a figure whose deceptively quiet demeanor utterly belies a brutal, surgical efficiency. His eyes, though often downcast, occasionally flicker with a cold. Chapter 7: The Jailbreak and the Frame-Up. All right, welcome back to our deep dive into the shadowy depths of Red Harvest, a place where the lines between right and wrong blur into a permanent, grimy smudge. Today, we're plunging headfirst into Chapter 7, a chapter that doesn't just turn up the heat, it throws the entire pot into a raging inferno. Our protagonist, the Op, isn't just playing chess anymore, he's setting the entire board on fire, piece by piece, accelerating the conflict through a series of tactical maneuvers so precise, so devastating, they would make a master strategist blush. Imagine a town already teetering on the brink. Personville, or as we affectionately know it, Poisonville, is a powder keg. Every street corner holds a potential ambush, every whisper carries a threat. The Op has already stirred the pot, created enough suspicion and distrust to set the various criminal factions against each other. But that's not enough. He needs more. He needs chaos, pure and unadulterated, to truly cleanse this festering wound. And his chosen instrument for this next phase of destruction? A man named Whisper Thaler. Let's talk about the jailbreak. It's a classic noir trope, but in Hammett's hands, and through the Op's meticulous execution, it becomes something far more sinister, far more strategic. Whisper Thaler, a man known for his loose tongue and his even looser morals, a small-time crook whose presence in the general population would undoubtedly add fuel to the already raging fire, is exactly what the Op needs. He's a wild card, a known quantity, but unpredictable in his released state. The Op's preparation for this maneuver is, as always, surgical. He doesn't just waltz in. He observes. He studies the routine of the Personville jail, noting the shift changes, the habits of the guards, the weaknesses in the security. He learns the exact timing, the precise moment when the guard on duty might be a little too comfortable, a little too complacent, perhaps even a little too deep into a paperback novel or a late-night snack. He sees the rust on the lock, the creak in the floorboards, the dimness of the solitary bulb swinging overhead. This isn't just a physical breach, it's a psychological one, exploiting the very human element of boredom and routine that plagues any static environment. The night of the jailbreak itself is a masterclass in quiet efficiency. The op moves like a ghost, his footsteps barely disturbing the dust on the floor. The air is thick with the smell of stale cigarettes and desperation. He approaches the jail, not with a sledgehammer, but with a silent, methodical intent. The guard, perhaps dozing or lost in thought, is taken completely by surprise. There's no grand, cinematic shootout here. This is Hammett, remember. It's swift, brutal, and effective. A muffled struggle, a precise blow, and the guard slumps to the floor, not dead. No, the op rarely leaves unnecessary bodies unless it serves a larger purpose, but certainly out of commission, dreaming of a less violent career path. The silence that follows is deafening, punctuated only by the distant sounds of Personville's restless night, a siren wailing faintly, a dog barking somewhere far off, the relentless hum of a town that never truly sleeps, even as it chokes on its own corruption. The op then proceeds to whisper Thaler's cell. The lock, old and unloved, yields to his tools with a series of soft clicks, a tiny symphony of liberation that spells doom for Personville. The cell door creaks open, revealing Thaler, a pathetic figure in the gloom, startled but quickly understanding the implication of his visitor. The conversation between them, though brief, is laced with a chilling undertone. The op isn't asking Thaler for favors, he's giving an instruction, a directive wrapped in the guise of freedom. He might whisper a few words about who might have wanted Thaler out, who might benefit from his sudden reappearance, subtly planting seeds of suspicion, directing Thaler's paranoia towards one of the very bosses the op intends to destroy. Thaler, a man who understands the language of Chapter 8, Going Blood Simple. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel, where we're diving deep, as always, into the dark and morally ambiguous alleys of Dashiell Hammett's Red Harvest. If you've been with us since the beginning, you know that our journey through Personville, or as the locals grimly call it, Poisonville, has been anything but a walk in the park. We've witnessed a town utterly consumed by corruption, a place where violence is the primary currency and deceit the native tongue. Our protagonist, the Continental Op, has been wading through the cesspool, trying to stir things up, to bring some semblance of order to the chaos. But in Chapter 8, something profound and deeply unsettling happens. It's not about another body dropping, or another twist in the labyrinthine plot, though those certainly occur. This chapter delves into a far more insidious kind of decay, one that affects the very soul of our detective. We're going blood simple. Now, you might have heard that phrase before, perhaps from the Coen brothers' brilliant debut film. They famously, and rightly, credited Dashiell Hammett with coining it, or at least popularizing it, within the dark lexicon of hard-boiled fiction. But what does blood simple truly mean in the context of Hammett's brutal, unforgiving universe? It's more than just being desensitized to violence, though that's certainly part of it. Blood simple describes a chilling psychological state, a profound and dangerous transformation that occurs when an individual is submerged in an environment of constant, unrelenting violence, betrayal, and paranoia. Imagine living every single moment of every single day in a state of hyper-awareness, where every shadow holds a potential threat, every friendly gesture could be a trap, and every conversation is a delicate dance of lies and half-truths. Your mind, under this immense, suffocating pressure, starts to warp. You become numb to the horror, yes, but simultaneously, you become obsessively vigilant, constantly anticipating the next blow, the next double cross, the next act of brutality. The very fabric of your moral reasoning begins to fray, then unravel completely. The conventional rules of right and wrong, of justice and injustice, start to lose their meaning. When everyone around you is playing dirty, when survival demands that you anticipate and counter every malicious move, you begin to adopt their tactics. Violence, manipulation, deceit, these aren't just tools wielded by the criminals anymore, they become the only logical, effective means of operating in this twisted landscape. The line between hunter and hunted, between the detective seeking justice and the criminals he pursues, becomes frighteningly thin, almost transparent. The Op isn't just an impartial observer, a detached solver of puzzles. He's becoming an active, almost primal, participant in the town's madness, stripped bare of his professional detachment and his conventional humanity. It's a descent into an instinctual, raw existence, where the only guiding principle is survival, and the methods employed are increasingly indistinguishable from those of the very people he's fighting. It's a terrifying metamorphosis, where the cure might be as deadly as the disease. This profound psychological deterioration, this terrifying realization, culminates in one of the most stark, honest, and frankly heartbreaking confessions our Continental Op makes in the entire novel. He admits it, not just to himself, but to Dinah Brand. Dinah, a character as complex and morally ambiguous as the town itself, ironically becomes his reluctant, perhaps even unwilling, confidant. In a moment of raw vulnerability, a rare crack in his usually impenetrable tough guy exterior, he confesses, "I'm going blood simple." This isn't a casual admission, it's a profound declaration of internal crisis. He explains that he's losing his professional detachment, that cool, objective analytical stance that's supposed to be the bedrock of a good detective. For the Op, Personville is no longer just a case, it's an infection that's spreading. Chapter 9, The Gin-Soaked Nightmare. All right, gather close, my friends, because if you thought things were wild in Personville already, if you thought our anonymous Op had seen the worst of it, well, you were dead wrong. Absolutely, utterly, tragically wrong. Because Chapter 9 of Red Harvest, the one we're calling the Gin-Soaked Nightmare, isn't just a turning point, it's a plunge into a personal hell, a murky abyss where reality warps, and the line between victim and perpetrator becomes frighteningly thin. This isn't just a chapter, it's the night everything, and I mean everything, implodes. Let's set the scene, shall we? Picture this, the air in Dinah Brand's apartment. It's thick, perfumed with something heavy, maybe her scent, maybe the lingering smell of cheap liquor and unspoken promises. It's late, the city's muffled hum barely reaching through the closed windows. Dinah, a creature of dangerous beauty and even more dangerous ambition, is there, across from him, her eyes glittering with a mixture of allure and something far more calculating. The Op, ever the wary observer, yet drawn to her like a moth to a flame he knows will burn him. He's tired, mentally and physically drained from days of navigating Personville's brutal underbelly. He's been dancing with devils, and now he's at the epicenter of their dark ballet. She offers him a drink. Gin. It's not just any gin, though. It's a peace offering, a truce, or so it seems. A moment of respite in the relentless storm. He watches her pour it, the clear liquid sloshing in the glass, the ice clinking softly, a deceptive sound of normalcy. He takes it. He drinks. And here, my friends, is where the nightmare truly begins to unfurl its dark wings. There's a subtle, almost imperceptible shift. A sweetness, perhaps, an unusual undertone that mixes with the sharp bite of the gin. It's laudanum, of course. That ancient, insidious balm, a liquid oblivion designed to soothe, to quiet, to erase. But in this context, in Dinah Brand's hands, it's a weapon, a silken cord tightening around his senses. The op, sharp as he is, probably registers it somewhere deep in the recesses of his mind, a fleeting flicker of suspicion, a momentary raising of his internal alarm. But he's exhausted. The gin is potent. The world is already spinning on its axis in Personville. Perhaps he dismisses it, or perhaps, for a fleeting, dangerous moment, he welcomes the thought of a brief escape from the relentless tension. As he drinks, the world around him begins to soften. The edges of Dinah's face, so sharp and defined moments ago, blur into a painterly haze. Her voice, once a siren's call, now becomes a distant hum, a low, comforting drone that pulls him deeper, deeper. A heavy warmth spreads through his limbs, a peculiar lassitude that settles over him like a thick blanket. His thoughts, usually so precise, so calculating, become muddled, like trying to grasp smoke. He tries to fight it, to maintain a semblance of control, to hold onto the unraveling threads of his consciousness. But the drug is too strong, too pervasive. It's an invading army, silently conquering his mind, shutting down his defenses, one by one. He might try to speak, to ask a question, to voice the growing unease. But the words catch in his throat, dissolving into a meaningless jumble. His eyelids grow heavy, defying his will to keep them open. The room begins to tilt, a slow, deliberate spin that leaves him feeling utterly untethered. He sees Dinah one last time, perhaps a faint smile playing on her lips, a look in her eyes that could be triumph, or pity, or something far more sinister. And then, there's nothing. Just a vast, swallowing darkness, a profound, gin-soaked oblivion. The kind of sleep that isn't restful, but rather feels like a descent into a bottomless pit. He wakes. And this, my friends, is where the true horror begins. The awakening isn't gentle, it isn't peaceful. It's a brutal, jarring re-entry into a world that has irrevocably changed. His head pounds with a drum solo of agony, a relentless rhythm that threatens to split his skull open. His mouth Chapter 10, Reno Starkey and the Final Plays. Alright, settle in, because if you thought things were spiraling before, if you believed that the intricate dance of death and deception in Personville had reached its fever pitch, well, my friends, you were gravely mistaken. You see, every great symphony of destruction needs a final, jarring chord, a crescendo of pure, unadulterated chaos, and that, dear viewers, is precisely what we get with the entrance of our next character. This is Chapter 10, a turning point, a no-holds-barred descent into the abyss, and it's all about Reno Starkey and the Final Plays. Our enigmatic op, the man who walked into this town determined to purge it, is about to unleash the ultimate wild card, pushing Personville beyond the brink, beyond any semblance of sanity, into a state of absolute, terrifying anarchy. He has been methodical, he has been cold, but now, he is about to become a conductor of a grand, terrifying opera of destruction, where the final notes are played by the most desperate and brutal elements. Imagine Personville, a town already bleeding, a place where the lines between law and lawlessness have blurred into an indistinguishable, crimson smear. We've seen the op, our enigmatic detective, meticulously dismantle the existing power structures, pitting faction against faction with a cold, surgical precision that would make Machiavelli himself nod in grudging admiration. He's a puppet master, pulling strings unseen, orchestrating a ballet of betrayal and retribution. His face, often unreadable, perhaps now holds a flicker of grim satisfaction, a hardened resolve that borders on the fanatical. He didn't come here to make friends or to uphold a flawed system. He came to burn it all down to the foundations, believing that only from such total annihilation could something genuinely new and clean ever hope to rise. But even a master strategist, even a man as calculating as the op, can't account for every single variable, every single, unpredictable force that might erupt from the depths of human depravity. Or can he? Perhaps, just perhaps, The Op had been waiting for this exact moment, for this exact kind of catalyst. Perhaps Reno Starkey wasn't just a random element, but a known quantity, a weapon he had anticipated and was ready to wield. Our story, or rather, this particular chapter of our unfolding nightmare, introduces us to the ultimate wild card, a man whose reputation precedes him like a chilling wind across a graveyard, whispering tales of blood and fire. His name is Reno Starkey. Now, Reno Starkey isn't your typical gang leader, not in the mold of the established figures like the Whisperer or the Old Man, or even the more volatile figures like Max Thaler. No, Reno Starkey is something else entirely. He's pure ID, pure impulse, a force of nature unleashed. He's not interested in controlling territory in the traditional sense, not really concerned with the long game of rackets and influence. His mind operates on a simpler, more primal level: acquire, destroy, move on. Reno Starkey is a bandit, an outlaw in the most classic, brutal sense of the word. He rides into town, or rather, bursts into town, not to establish an empire, but to plunder, to burn, to simply take what he wants, with absolutely no regard for consequences, for structure, or for human life. His very presence is a disruption, a shockwave through the already fractured criminal landscape. He's not a player in the game, he's the meteor strike that obliterates the board. Picture him, a lean, wiry man, with eyes that seem to hold an almost predatory gleam, restless and constantly scanning. His movements are quick, sudden, almost avian in their darting precision, like a predator always ready to pounce. He probably smells of dust and gunpowder and a certain kind of primal fearlessness that radiates from him like heat. His clothes, perhaps a worn leather jacket, dusty boots, a hat pulled low, speak of a life lived on the fringes, constantly moving, constantly fighting. His arrival isn't subtle. It's a declaration, an incursion. It's a sudden, violent eruption in an ALR. Chapter 11, The Last Stand at the Lager. Alright, let's dive into something truly intense today. We've been on this winding, brutal road through Poisonville with our nameless op, watching him systematically dismantle a city's criminal underworld. And now, my friends, we've arrived at the precipice, the very edge of the abyss, the point of no return. We are talking about Chapter 11 of Red Harvest, a chapter aptly named The Last Stand at the Lager. This isn't just a shootout, it's the crescendo of all the manipulation, all the bloodshed, all the calculated chaos that the Op has unleashed. It's the moment where the fire he meticulously ignited truly rages out of control, consuming everything in its path, including, perhaps, parts of himself. Imagine, if you will, the scene. We're not talking about some quaint little hideout. No, this is the lager, a fortified warehouse, a stronghold that once represented the very heart of one of Poisonville's most brutal factions. Now, it's a death trap, a stage set for a final, desperate act. The air outside is thick with anticipation, a heavy, almost tangible dread that presses down on everything. The city, which has been simmering with violence, is about to boil over. The Op, our enigmatic protagonist, has been pulling strings, whispering in ears, igniting old feuds and new resentments, all leading to this singular, explosive moment. It's a masterful, terrifying orchestration, and now, he stands back, a silent conductor in a symphony of destruction. The siege at the warehouse isn't a surprise attack in the conventional sense. It's a culmination, a gathering storm that everyone saw coming, yet no one could truly avert. The forces aligned against the lager are a motley crew, remnants of various gangs, small-time crooks, and desperate men who have been pushed to their absolute limits by the Op's relentless machinations. They are hungry for blood, for revenge, for whatever crumbs of power might be left after the dust settles. And inside the lager? Inside, it's a powder keg. The men holed up within are cornered animals, dangerous and unpredictable. They know their time is running out. They know what awaits them. The first shots are like cracks of thunder, shattering the pre-dawn quiet. They rip through the air, sharp and unyielding, signaling the official commencement of the final battle. It's not a cautious approach, it's an all-out assault, a wave of desperate men throwing themselves against the lager's defenses. You can almost hear the cacophony, even just reading the words. The thud of heavy boots on the uneven ground, the shouts and curses echoing in the narrow streets leading to the warehouse, the metallic rasp of weapons being readied. And then, the gunfire. Not just single shots, but volleys, a relentless barrage that batters the sturdy walls of the lager, splintering wood, shattering glass, turning the very structure into a drum resonating with the beat of impending doom. Inside, the laager becomes a hellish crucible. Men are scrambling, returning fire, their faces etched with a desperate fear that borders on madness. The air immediately fills with the acrid smell of gunpowder, stinging the nostrils, burning the back of the throat. Smoke begins to billow, thick and gray, swirling through the cramped spaces, obscuring vision, adding to the suffocating sense of panic. Each gunshot rings out, deafening, reverberating off the metal and concrete, making it almost impossible to hear anything but the raw, visceral sounds of combat. Men are shouting orders that are lost in the din, screaming in pain, their voices raw and hoarse. It's a chaotic ballet of violence, a desperate struggle for survival where every second is a gamble, every move potentially your last. The warehouse, designed to protect, now feels like a tomb, its high ceilings and narrow passages amplifying the terror, making escape seem utterly impossible. And then, in the midst of this whirlwind of lead and fire, we come to a pivotal moment, a truly stark reflection of the Op's cold, calculating genius, the death of Whisper Thaler. Thaler, for those who might need a. Chapter 12, Confronting the Old Man. All right, welcome back, my friends. We've been on quite a journey, haven't we? Through the grime and blood-soaked streets of Personville, a town that, by now, feels less like a place on a map and more like a wound that just won't heal. We've followed our nameless Op, a man who walked into a city teetering on the brink, and with cold, surgical precision, pushed it right over the edge. Today, we're staring down the barrel of the final act. The last piece of this twisted puzzle. We've seen the Op dismantle the power structures, pit villain against villain, and watch as the very fabric of this town shredded itself. But there's one figure left, one shadow looming over it all, the man who, in his desperation, lit the fuse on this whole powder keg, Elihu Wilson. This is Chapter 12, Confronting the Old Man. And trust me, it's not going to be pretty. Picture this with me, if you will. The sun, a pale, indifferent disk in the sky, barely bothering to cast light on what remains of Personville. The streets, which just days ago buzzed with a deadly, frantic energy, are now eerily silent. A silence that isn't peaceful, but heavy, pregnant with memory, with the ghosts of the recently departed. Every shadow seems to hold a story. Every gust of wind whispers a name. Our Op, a figure hardened by fire and blood, makes his way through this mausoleum of a town. His suit, probably still impeccably tailored, now carries the invisible stains of every bullet fired, every light told, every life extinguished. He's not walking, he's moving with the deliberate, weary grace of a man who has just finished a monumental, terrible task. The town, as he sees it, is cleaned. But what does clean truly mean in this context? It means a vacuum, a void. The warring factions, the corrupt police, the petty thugs, the ambitious schemers, they are all gone. Erased. The violence that Elihu Wilson so desperately wanted to quell has, in a terrifying display of poetic justice, devoured almost everyone involved. The Op, our reluctant executioner, has delivered exactly what was asked for, and perhaps, far more than anyone ever truly bargained for. His face, if we could see past the stoic mask, would probably betray nothing but profound exhaustion, a deep-seated weariness that goes bone deep. He's done it. He's brought Personville to its knees, stripped it bare, and now, it's time to show the architect of this destruction the true cost of his desperate plea. The journey to Elihu Wilson's mansion is a solitary one. No more dodging bullets, no more navigating drunken brawls or shadowy ambushes. Just the Op, the pavement beneath his feet, and the heavy weight of what he's accomplished. Each step brings him closer to the man who set this all in motion, the man who inadvertently signed the death warrants for so many, including his own son. There's no triumph in the Op's stride, no swagger. Just a grim, unyielding purpose. He's a surgeon who has completed a brutal, necessary operation, and now he must deliver the prognosis to the patient's family. He finally reaches the gates of the Wilson estate, a place that once symbolized power and control, now feels like a solitary island in a sea of desolation. The imposing facade seems to sag under the unseen weight of the town's suffering. The air here, though perhaps cleaner than the city streets, still carries the faint, acrid smell of burnt ambition and spent cartridges. The servants, those few who remain, move like ghosts, their faces pale, their eyes wide with a mixture of fear and profound confusion. They sense the shift, the end of an era, even if they don't fully comprehend the extent of the bloodbath that has just concluded. They open the doors for him without a word, their silence echoing the silence of the town. They know him now. They know what he is capable of. He is the quiet storm that swept through their lives. He finds Elihu in his study, a room probably filled with leather-bound books and the scent of old money, now seeming small and suffocating. Elihu, the old man, the patriarch, looks smaller than before. Chapter 13, The Report. All right, settle in, folks. Today, we're navigating the aftermath of a storm, a particularly brutal and bloody storm, one that left its indelible mark on the landscape of American crime fiction. We've journeyed through some dark alleys and even darker minds in our exploration of Dashiell Hammett's Red Harvest, haven't we? It's been a relentless descent into the heart of a town that truly earned its moniker, Poisonville. A place where every soul was tainted, every street corner whispered of deceit, and every shadow hid a new danger. Now, as we arrive at Chapter 13, The Report, we find ourselves at a crucial turning point, a moment of transition from the visceral chaos to a more reflective, institutional reckoning. The dust has settled, the blood has dried, and our nameless Continental Op, our cynical, pragmatic hero, is finally leaving that festering wound of a town behind. But what happens when you emerge from such an abyss? What does it feel like to leave the chaos, the death, the sheer, unadulterated corruption behind, and return to the structured, if equally complex, world you came from? That's what we're diving into today. This isn't just about handing in a piece of paper, it's about the journey back, the reckoning with actions taken, the subtle interplay of power within the agency, and the harsh truth that some stains never truly wash away. It's about the personal cost of justice in a world that often seems determined to resist it. Imagine, if you will, the op in his car. The engine rumbles a familiar, comforting tune, a stark contrast to the cacophony of gunshots, screams, and shattered glass that had become the soundtrack of Personville. No, let's call it Poisonville, because that's what it truly was. He's driving away, the rear-view mirror shrinking the town into a distant, ugly smudge on the horizon. Can you almost feel the physical exhaustion radiating from him? The sheer bone-deep weariness that settles into your muscles after days, weeks, of constant vigilance, of dodging bullets and deciphering lies. Every nerve ending, every fiber of his being, must have been screaming for rest, for silence, for anything but the oppressive weight of that town. The air itself must have felt different. Lighter, perhaps, as if the very atmosphere of Poisonville had been thick with the fumes of malice and decay. He's breathing deeper now, trying to purge the stench of gunpowder, stale whiskey, and spilled blood from his lungs. It's not just a physical escape, it's an attempt at a mental and spiritual cleansing. But how do you wash away the images that have been burned into your mind's eye? The faces of the dead, the contorted expressions of the living consumed by greed, the utter depravity he witnessed. Those aren't easily forgotten. He's not a man prone to overt displays of emotion, or op. He's pragmatic, almost stoic. But even for him, this drive must have been fraught with internal processing. The quiet hum of the road would have been an echo chamber for his thoughts. He played a dangerous game in Poisonville, a game of setting thieves against each other, of manipulating the rotten elements to destroy themselves. He became, in a way, part of the poison, even as he was trying to be the cure. Did he have regrets? Did the ends justify the means? From his perspective, in a town so far gone, perhaps it was the only way to achieve anything resembling justice, or at least, order. As the miles peeled away, the landscape would have begun to change. The grim, oppressive industrial sprawl of Poisonville slowly giving way to rolling hills, perhaps a glimpse of the ocean in the distance. The vast, open skies, a sense of boundless possibility, a world beyond the suffocating confines he'd just escaped. Imagine the subtle shift in light, the way the sun might have finally felt warm on his face, not just a weak, indifferent glow through the smog. Each mile was a step further from the nightmare, a step closer to San Francisco, to the familiar, if equally complex, embrace of civilization. But even as he drove towards that promise, a part of Chapter 14, Analysis, the Marxist Noir. Welcome back, everyone. We have arrived at Chapter 14 of our journey through Dashiell Hammett's absolute masterpiece, Red Harvest. And oh, what a chapter this is going to be. We are diving deep, peeling back the layers of this gritty, brutal, and profoundly insightful novel to uncover its underlying themes, its hidden mechanisms, and its enduring relevance. This isn't just a story, it's a mirror, a scream, a chilling prophecy. Today, we're dissecting Red Harvest as a Marxist noir, an analysis of the dark heart of unchecked capitalism. From the moment the Continental Op steps off that train into Personville, or as it's more aptly named by its residents, Poisonville, we are plunged headfirst into a world where money is God, power is currency, and human life is tragically cheap. Hammett doesn't just hint at a critique of unchecked capitalism, he takes a sledgehammer to it, smashing through its false pretenses and exposing its rotten core. This town, built on the raw, extractive industry of mining, is a testament to what happens when profit becomes the sole driving force, untempered by ethics, empathy, or even basic legality. Think about it. Personville is owned, body and soul, by Elihu Wilson, the mining magnate. His wealth, amassed through the exploitation of labor and natural resources, has corrupted every single institution in the town. The police force is a joke, a collection of bought men and gang members masquerading as law enforcement. The mayor, the district attorney, even the local newspaper are all puppets on Wilson's strings, dancing to the tune of his financial interests. Justice isn't blind, it's wearing Wilson's prescription glasses. This isn't just a breakdown of law and order, it's a systemic rot, an organic disease festering from the top down. Hammett shows us a society where the pursuit of wealth has created a power vacuum, filled not by civic duty or communal welfare, but by a savage, Darwinian struggle for control. The very air of Poisonville is thick with this capitalist decay. It's a town where strikes are broken with violence, where rival factions, gangsters, politicians, corrupt officials are all vying for a slice of the pie, a piece of the corrupt profits generated by Wilson's enterprise. The original crime, the murder that sets the entire chain of events in motion, is itself rooted in the shifting sands of power and money. Each subsequent murder, each betrayal, each act of brutality, can be traced back to this fundamental imbalance, this insatiable hunger for more. Hammett brilliantly illustrates how such an environment dehumanizes everyone within it. The rich become tyrants, the powerful become predators, and the ordinary people become collateral damage, their lives expendable in the grand scheme of economic dominance. It's a stark, uncompromising portrait of class struggle, where the ruling class, having created this monster, is now devoured by its own creation. The violence isn't random, it's a symptom, a fever breaking out from a deeply infected system. The town is literally harvesting red, not just from the mines, but from the veins of its inhabitants, shed in the name of profit and power. This isn't just a critique, it's an autopsy of a capitalist dystopia. Now, let's talk about the symbolism of the mining town itself. Poisonville. What a name. It's not just a clever nickname, it's a profound statement. The town isn't simply a setting, it's a character, a living, breathing entity, albeit one that is sick and dying. The act of mining, of digging deep into the earth to extract its valuable resources, is a powerful metaphor for the extractive nature of unchecked capitalism. It takes, exploits, and leaves behind a scarred landscape, both literally and metaphorically. The town itself is physically scarred by the mines, a testament to the brutal labor and environmental degradation. The dust, the grime, the perpetual sense of decay, these aren't just details, they are manifestations of the town's spiritual and moral corruption. Personville is a wasteland, a modern-day Sodom and Gomorrah, where T. 7-day action plan, the Continental strategy. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the shadowy, intricate world of strategy, a world where every move counts, every glance holds meaning, and every decision can alter your fate. We're talking about taking the cold, calculated genius of figures straight out of books like Dashiell Hammett's Red Harvest and the incredibly stylized, high-stakes universe of the Continental, and applying that tactical brilliance to our everyday problems. No, we're not planning a heist, nor are we trying to dismantle a criminal empire, at least not literally. What we are doing is extracting the essence of their problem solving, their ability to navigate complex human webs, and their sheer force of will, to create our own 7-day action plan, the Continental strategy. Our goal here is simple, yet profound. We want to apply the Op's tactical thinking to modern problem solving. Think about it. In Red Harvest, the nameless Op steps into a town absolutely riddled with corruption, violence, and shifting alliances. He doesn't have a grand army, just his wits, his observations, and a ruthless understanding of human nature. Similarly, in the world of the Continental, characters like Winston or the Adjudicator navigate a global underworld where rules are sacred, but interpretation is key, and every interaction is a delicate dance of power. These aren't just thrilling stories, they're master classes in strategic thinking. So, let's peel back the layers and see how we can bring that level of strategic clarity into our own lives, starting right now, with the 7-day journey. Day 1 and Day 2, assess the terrain. This is where it all begins. Before you make a single move, before you even utter a word that could be misinterpreted, you must understand the landscape. Imagine you're the op stepping off the train into Personville, a town utterly alien to you. What's the first thing you do? You don't charge in, guns blazing. You observe. You listen. You gather information. In our modern lives, whether you're facing a complex project at work, a family dispute, or even trying to navigate a tricky social situation, the principle is the same. You need to identify your stakeholders. Who are the key players in this situation? List them out, not just by name, but by their role, their perceived influence, and their known allegiances. But don't stop there. The true genius lies in uncovering the hidden agendas. This is where the world of the Continental shines. Everyone has a motive beyond the obvious. Is your colleague genuinely supportive, or do they secretly want your position? Is that family member offering help out of kindness, or do they have an ulterior motive? These aren't always malicious intentions. Sometimes, it's just human nature, fear, ambition, a desire for control, or even past grievances that color their current actions. The op in Red Harvest masterfully uses this. He doesn't just see the gangster, he sees the gangster's ambition, his fear of rivals, his weaknesses. He uses information like a surgeon uses a scalpel, precise and purposeful. How do you do this? It's about becoming a master observer. Pay attention to body language, to the things people don't say, to the subtle shifts in tone, to who speaks first in a meeting, to who avoids eye contact. Read between the lines of emails, listen to the office gossip, not to spread it, but to understand the underlying currents of power and sentiment. Ask open-ended questions that encourage people to reveal more about their perspectives without feeling interrogated. Consider their history. What have these people done in similar situations before? What are their known values? What are their perceived weaknesses or strengths? Look for patterns. If you're dealing with a business negotiation, don't just research the company, research the individuals on the opposing team. What are their career goals? What pressures are they under? What are their personal interests? Sometimes, the most innocuous piece of information can be the key that unlocks a hidden agenda. Remember. Summary: 3 key lessons from Poisonville. Alright, let's dive back into the swirling, grimy depths of Poisonville. You know, after spending what feels like an eternity in that town with the Continental Op, navigating its treacherous alleys and even more treacherous politics, it's impossible to walk away without a few scars, and certainly, a few profound lessons etched into your very being. We've journeyed through the murk, watched the bodies pile up, and witnessed the slow, agonizing unraveling of a town consumed by its own venom. Now, it's time to distill that intense, almost 5-hour narrative into the absolute core takeaways, the vital truths that Poisonville screamed at us from every shadowed corner and every whispered threat. This isn't just about what happened, but about what it means for us, for understanding the dark corners of human nature and the systems we build around ourselves. The air in Poisonville, or Personville as it's officially known, but let's be honest, it earned its nickname, was thick with despair and the stench of corruption. It was a place where hope went to die, and innocence was just a forgotten myth. Our man, the Continental Op, a figure as hard-boiled as they come, walked into this cesspool expecting a simple murder case, a quick job. What he found, however, was a hydra, a multi-headed monster that seemed to grow new heads faster than he could lop them off. And in that relentless struggle, 3 crucial lessons, 3 undeniable truths, surfaced from the depths of the depravity. These aren't just plot points, they are existential insights. Let's start with the first, and perhaps the most chilling, revelation that Poisonville forces upon us. Lesson 1. Corruption is systemic, not individual. This is a powerful, almost crushing truth that hits you like a blunt instrument in Red Harvest. We often like to believe, don't we, that corruption is about a few bad apples, a handful of rotten individuals spoiling the bunch. We comfort ourselves with the idea that if we just remove those particular bad actors, the system will right itself. But Poisonville, oh, Poisonville laughs at that naive optimism with a bitter, cynical chuckle. What the Continental Op discovered, and what we witness alongside him in agonizing detail, is that in Poisonville, corruption isn't just a personal failing of 1 or 2 powerful men. It's the very foundation upon which the town is built. The police chief, compromised. The mayor, deep in the pockets of the local mob. The district attorney, a puppet, dancing on the strings of the entrenched criminals. The local newspaper? Its editor is just another pawn in the game, twisting narratives to suit the powerful. Even the supposedly legitimate businesses, the banks, the local industries, are intertwined with the illicit enterprises. They don't just coexist, they are symbiotically linked, feeding off each other in a grotesque dance of power and profit. Think about it, when the op first arrives, he's faced with a murder, a straightforward case, or so it seems. But every lead he pulls on, every door he tries to open, reveals another layer of complicity. It's not just that someone bribed a cop, it's that the entire police force operates under a code of silence, a tacit agreement to look the other way, or worse, to actively participate in the town's criminal activities. The very institutions designed to uphold law and order have been subverted, twisted into instruments of crime and oppression. Justice isn't blind in Poisonville, it's simply bought and sold, traded like any other commodity. This systemic nature means that simply removing one corrupt official won't fix anything. It's like trying to bail out a sinking ship by removing a single bucket of water when the hull itself is riddled with holes. The op quickly realizes that arresting the small-time thugs or even a mid-level boss won't make a dent. The power vacuum would immediately be filled by someone equally, if not more, ruthless, because the underlying system, the very incentives and structures that foster corruption, remain intact. The entire edifice is rotten. From CTA, join the agency. Have you ever had to play two sides against the middle? This isn't just a simple query tossed out into the digital ether. It's a loaded question, isn't it? It plunges us straight into the heart of the moral labyrinth that Dashiell Hammett so masterfully constructed in Red Harvest. The Continental Op, our nameless, seemingly unflappable protagonist, found himself in just such a predicament. Caught between warring factions, each corrupt and ruthless, forced to navigate a treacherous landscape where loyalty was traded cheaply and truth was an elusive shadow. But let's expand on that thought, because it echoes far beyond the grimy streets of Personville, a town so rotten it earned the moniker Poisonville. Have you ever, in your own life, perhaps in a less dramatic, less deadly fashion, felt the uncomfortable pressure of being an intermediary? Of having to placate opposing forces, to understand the conflicting demands of two parties, each convinced of their own righteousness, each demanding your allegiance? Maybe it wasn't a gang war, but a family dispute, a disagreement amongst colleagues, or even an internal conflict where two parts of yourself pulled in different directions, forcing you into a delicate, almost acrobatic balancing act. The essence of playing two sides against the middle isn't merely about deception, though often a component. It's about strategy, survival, the desperate attempt to maintain equilibrium in a world determined to throw you off balance. It's about understanding the motivations, weaknesses, and strengths of each player, using that insight to orchestrate a situation that, ideally, benefits you, or at the very least, prevents your own undoing. Consider the mental toll such a role exacts. The constant vigilance. The careful calibration of every word, every gesture. The paranoia that becomes an unwelcome companion, whispering doubts and suspicions into your ear. You can trust no one fully, because everyone is a potential adversary, a pawn in a larger game, or a piece that can be sacrificed. And just as importantly, you cannot afford for anyone to fully trust you, for that trust might be exploited, turning you into a tool rather than the master of your own fate. It's a lonely path, a solitary dance on the edge of a precipice, with the constant threat of a misstep sending you plummeting into the abyss. The Continental Op, with his detached demeanor and cynical wit, often masks the weariness that must accompany such a life. He observes, manipulates, cleans up the mess, but at what cost to his own soul? Does a man who constantly wades through the muck and mire of human depravity emerge unscathed? Or does some of that grime cling to him, subtly altering his own moral compass? Perhaps you've experienced a version of this in navigating professional politics, where conflicting departmental goals or individual ambitions create a minefield you must traverse. You might find yourself translating, mediating, trying to find common ground, all while subtly advancing your own position or protecting your own interests. The stakes might not be life or death, but the psychological gymnastics are strikingly similar. The need to maintain a facade, to project an image of neutrality or unwavering loyalty to each side, even as you internally plot your next move, weighing the potential outcomes of every subtle nudge or carefully chosen word. It requires a keen understanding of human nature, an intuitive psychology that allows you to read between the lines, to discern hidden agendas, and to anticipate reactions. It's a game of chess played with real people, where the pieces have their own wills and their own secrets. Or perhaps it's been in the realm of personal relationships, where you found yourself caught between friends or family members who are at odds. You might be the confidant for both, hearing complaints and grievances from each side, feeling the pull to support one, then the other, yet knowing that choosing a side would shatter the delicate peace, or worse, rupture a bond with someone you care about. Thank you for listening to this audiobook. If you found value, meaning, or inspiration in this journey, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next chapter. Your support helps us bring more timeless classics to life. See you in the next reading.